Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Two Fat Guys Talking Flowers, where we're always going to bring you the good, the bad, the ugly about flowers. Today, our esteemed guest is none other than Corrine Heck from Detail Software.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Mike is joining us. He's at his happy place in upstate New York at his cabin. He has phoned in and zoomed in and watching us. And, you know, we're here to have a good time with Corrine.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks.
I saw your sign, Mike, out there. You've gone fishing, bitches. Take care of the office while I'm out. So I'm like, how perfect.
The sign is so good we haven't taken it down. It's just perfect.
No, you won't dare take it down.
We all walked in and we were just laughing our ass off that day. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, I'm excited. And Mike extended an invitation for me and Florida Man to come up to New York. So I plan on taking you up on that.
You better take that. Yeah, that's right.
I think he offers that to everybody. I don't know how many people have taken
don't make
that.
Me not feel special.
One day, it's like 20 people are going to show up.
Gonna...
They're just going to show up at once.
I know. I'm excited.
That's good.
Yeah.
I want to get up there. How you doing on the jet ski?
Happy birthday, too.
Happy birthday episode for Mike. Yeah.
I'm feeling really special.
Damn, you're making us look bad, Corrine.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I told her to bring the whole family up here. I got plenty of room, and you will de-stress here. You will just do nothing and enjoy it. Be great.
Mike's like Cinderella up there. Like I hear the birds chirping and squirrels coming to the house. It's awesome up there.
The last episode, there was a bird chirping the whole time. Yeah, there was a yellow belly sapsucker. What did you call it?
We actually have right across the lake. We have a returning family of ospreys, mommy. Yes. Ospreys that have a baby every year, and we watch them catch a fish and fly in with the fish to feed the baby. And as the summer goes on, the baby howls and squeaks louder and louder and louder until one day the baby just flies away.
They kick it out.
It's pretty cool, man.
You're being too loud.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And when you know, we're sitting there with the binoculars and we're watching them, and when they go number 2, they like squirt it out like 100 yards. It shoots out like super far. It's the most incredible thing I've seen.
That feels like a little TMI.
It's all that good New York food.
We watch a lot of Nature Channel stuff and Discovery Channel stuff. They've never shown that.
It's amazing.
They don't want to mess up their house, so they make sure they shoot it far away. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's cool.
Too funny.
We have all the deer up in our neck of the woods up in Ormond Beach. So, and it's whenever I go to film them, they all start defecating. So it's like every time. Maybe it's just a nature thing. I don't know. They know they're on camera.
It started as one deer, right? Yeah, baby. It started. You started with one.
Well, you know, it actually started where we would have herds coming through, and one day, Florida Man turned to me and he said, "You know, I'd really love a baby deer," and the next day, he was like, "Look what I caught," and and he had one. So I don't know how he came upon this deer, but she won't go away now. She thinks Greg is its mother.
Is daddy.
Yeah.
How much of the audience do we think knows who Florida Man is?
I'm guessing not many. Maybe a few super fans might know who Florida Man is.
I called him at the show your unofficial mascot.
He is the unofficial mascot of Detail Software.
So I wonder how well he's known.
It's like Corrine with the ladies, and then Florida Man with Corrine and the ladies.
Well, he doesn't have a name. He's only known as Florida Man.
You know, it's so funny because I feel like a lot of the industry folks have been maybe not intimidated to talk to me, but maybe as a woman, they've been a little standoffish. So the moment I start bringing Florida Man around, they're all wanting to know who this bearded man is. And then I get the introduction. So he's very welcoming. He's very welcoming, and he's not here today, so I apologize.
I asked him. He didn't want to step in on your shine. He said.
Yeah, he's like the man behind the curtain. you know.
He is. He's awesome. So you were just at the Flori Expo.
We were.
How did that go for you?
It was amazing. You know, this was our second time here. We came back in 2019 and didn't come in 2020. I guess no one did.
I was there. But the rest of the show was they bailed about a month before.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty empty.
It was like 4 vendors
also-
and 0 customers.
It was also like a Friday, Saturday date, weird scenario. So
Yeah.
nobody came
Yeah.
on that beach day, whatever that last day
Well, we
was.
had a little baby booth, you know, so this isn't really our crowd as like mass market necessarily, but I did think that there was a lot of retailers
There
that
was more
showed up.
retailers this year than normally.
And
Yeah.
it was pretty good. So I bought a bigger booth for next year. So if you guys are coming next year,
For sure.
we'll be there. I need to get with Ryan to
Next
come
year
up
we'll
with
be
a-
in Fort Lauderdale, actually, not Miami.
I know. I'm gonna squeeze you out for some good concept
Ah,
ideas.
let's see.
Well, we could talk to them. You could get your booth next to us again.
That's what I was
I
gonna say.
did.
Yeah.
I did. I plotted it
All right,
out.
good,
I was
good,
like,
good.
okay. We'll
There
just-
you go.
It seems to me as they changed their name, they also changed their whole thing. Like they're not just looking for supermarkets to come anymore. Because years ago it was called the Super Floral Show,
Yeah.
and it was just supermarkets. And then they changed it around a little bit. And I think wholesale chains, large retailers, event florists, all these people are coming to check it out.
Yeah.
Coming to check
And
it
I
out.
met
And
so many people from like Oklahoma that had come into the show. So it was like, wow, people are coming from far and wide
Yeah,
to
there
be
was some.
here.
There was
We
some
got to
travelers.
meet those lovely ladies from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They were awesome. They were fans of the podcast.
We
those
had a
ladies
few.
from
We had a few
Oklahoma.
fans of the podcast.
Really?
Yeah. This one lady was pregnant. I mean, she was
In the pink
she's
dress.
she's doing like a month and a half. I was like, you're wild. She's like, yeah, I had to come down here. Doctor said it was okay.
She had
so I
lashes
jumped on it.
and everything.
Yeah,
she was very glammed up.
She was
So-
ready to
glam.
go.
So our wonderful neighbors next door, Laura, she came by on her kayak the other day and she waved up. She goes, "Hey, I'm listening to the podcast too, Fat Guys Talking Flowers." Really?
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's good. I hope our listeners are enjoying listening as much as we're enjoying doing these. I hope they're starting to get a
Yeah.
gist.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming. You also you did a beautiful
So, Fern,
presentation. What happened?
Sorry,
Oh,
No.
my bad.
Go
I was
on,
gonna
buddy.
say I want to get into.
No, we got to discuss her
We
We got
presentation
her
first.
presentation. She had a
we're
great.
the
gonna
gun.
lay it all out, Mike.
Don't jump
You know.
the gun.
Go.
No.
So he's excited. I love it.
We don't rehearse.
No.
We
No,
don't
no
rehearse,
rehearse.
so-
We
No
started at the
rehearse.
back, so
We
got-
I get it.
So before we jump into your history and where the lovely Corrine came from and how you got your start in the flower industry, but let's how did it go? You were up there on stage, a lot of faces, different
What
new
was
people.
what was the title of the panel? Not the panel, the
It
presentation.
was they asked me to speak about growing profitability in turbulent times.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm like, ooh, turbulence. I got it. I got this under control. But I actually really enjoyed it. I wasn't quite sure like just what to expect or how many people would be in the audience. So I honestly, the night before, I was like shaking in my boots. I'm like, is there going to be 500, 1,000 people in there from Whole Foods or like Trader Joe's? Like, what can I say to these people that are in such big businesses? But it was a manageable group, and Fern was there as my sidekick,
Cheerleader.
cheerleader.
She was
extraordinaire.
Corrine was asking the crowd to join in and ask questions.
Yeah,
And
you got to get
at
people
first,
going.
just like when you on your panel, they were silent. They were just listening. They weren't
that was
talking.
approached to us as, it's going to be a audience Q&A, and there was no audience participation for the first.
Yeah, I
40
never
minutes.
really know where to go. But, the best presentations are always where you can get that crowd interaction
Right,
going.
right.
So I tried
Correct.
so often, and Fern and Cindy at Flori Expo were really my only two people that were chiming in. But I think it went well. You give some really good information that you think that not only can event florists use in their business, but also more general information that anybody could use. Because
Yeah.
you go on businesses all the same.
It was a
course.
great presentation. You did a great job. You didn't look
Thank
nervous
you.
at all. I know
I
Florida man.
saw on social media that you had like a slides. You had slides
I had
and
beautiful
stuff.
slides. Yeah, my team is really top notch. They go all out for me.
That's awesome.
Much like Ryan, you know, they make you look good.
She was looking like Steve Jobs up there, like from Apple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she had the whole presentation.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
I mean, come on now. I run it through my head like 1,000 times, but there's nothing like talking in the moment and just being present and feeling the crowd.
So, do you do a lot of talking, public speaking?
I have in the past.
Okay.
Then I had a brain tumor.
So I would like to discuss that as well. We can get into that when your backstory, because that's part of, turbulent times and being able to.
For sure. Well, and it's always crazy to me because I did a lot of public speaking prior to my surgery, which was 2 years ago. But I'm always curious because my brain tumor pushed on my speech, my ability to speak. So public speaking is just like a bigger challenge for me because I always wonder, am I going to have any kind of hiccup that is going to be like from like a post-traumatic stress from this like disorder that I had.
Is it gonna mess up your motor skills?
Yeah. So it's like always a big challenge for me, but I've got great neurosurgeons that I'm working with, and they're like, no, you're completely fine, out of the woods. But it's always like this underlying pressure of like, will I have like some type of episode or weird thing that would happen? So yeah, it's a little bit of like a personal endeavor or something that I need to conquer.
Right.
So for me, it's a challenge, and I love those challenges. What's
the biggest crowd you've presented to?
I would say that it has been the Wedding MBA in Las Vegas. I'm actually a speaker there this year, so I get to challenge myself again with public speaking.
We'll be there with you.
It will probably be about 300, maybe 400 florists that are typically in that community.
That's a big number.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a big number.
But I was expecting that at Flori Expo, and it wasn't quite that. I think there were like 80 to 100 people in the crowd. So
that's pretty generous.
That's because for every 500,
maybe it was generous.
For every 500 supermarkets, there's one buyer.
Yeah,
that's probably why.
Well,
that one buyer fills up 500 stores.
But for us, it's always been about the brand recognition. So I feel like we launched our company about 8 years ago now. And so whenever anybody asks me to speak, I'm always so flattered that I'm like, wow, you recognize that we're trying to do something a little different. And that is just not only a personal challenge, but also the opportunity to tell people about our company. So I'm always like, yes, be great. Like inside, I'm like, oh God, I'm dying. Yeah. I don't want to get out there and speak, but like I know I need to as an entrepreneur. So that's what you go and do, and so it's worked out.
You did great.
Thank you.
Great. It was awesome.
I'm sure you did great. Yeah, I'm willing to wager that. And Corrine and Details is on they're on a roll right now. Like they're like rock star flower status. Like everyone knows them. Everybody, it's just everything's just like falling into place for you. The way I look from the outside looking in, I just think like everything's falling into place for you professionally.
Thank you.
And you're such a big spirit and I think that you, like I told you, you command the room. And I think that's, it's the easy street for you now.
Well, it's not without the lack of like, I don't know. I don't know where I find that confidence from sometimes, because I don't think I generally have that as like a person, but I know I need to bring that for my company. And you probably feel the same way as like, hey, you got one shot. I'm always playing this Eminem song in the back of my head.
I swear to God, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, you got one shot. You gotta make sure you don't mess up. But like for me, it was just a dream. And when I was working,
which song is that? What song do you hear? Which one?
Lose Yourself, Eminem.
The one that goes vomit on his sweater already, mom spaghetti.
Okay, Joelle, play a little bit of that music when we do the editing. Play a little bit of that music in there.
Yeah, but I feel like it's been like that all along. And for so long, I just wanted to, when I was first working here in Miami, I started here selling boxes of flowers. And I always thought, how can I build something bigger? And I never thought that I would make it. When I wanted to have an event company in the Miami, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to break out in this huge, enormous, like we're driving around in Miami. I'm like, look at the enormity of this. But now, stepping back, yes, I'm not the event designer that's doing all of that, but all these huge event designers are relying on the software that I've created to run their businesses.
Oh, yeah.
And even Britney Spears that got married, the company that did her wedding, I'm not going to say, they're using our software. Like, I'm like connected in this like small way. I'm like, that's right. It's Britney, bitch.
Yeah.
You know, like I got that, but I feel like really proud that
There's some professional athletes getting married through your software too.
Yeah.
and I don't even spy on any of these companies even know. There's too much going on to even know until after it happens.
Meek Mill, the rapper, he just had a party that was done through your software.
What? Come on
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But that's like a total dream. Like I totally wanted to be in like VIP status. I know.
Who is that?
Meek Mill. Meek Mill. He's a rapper.
That's a name?
That's
Meek
a name.
Mill?
Yes, Meek Mill.
I love how in the background of Mike, your mom is just like.
That's the only thing I could think about right now.
Just seeing
every
mommy in
time
the
we
background.
Zoom with him, it's my mom's just doing something random
She's
in the
like,
I
background.
love it.
Mommy.
Last time she was
Come
climbing
say
the
hi.
Come
ladder.
and say hi.
Mommy, come say hello.
Come and say hi.
She's waiting to be called in, is what it is.
Mommy! Hey!
She's like, I need to move
She's like
this
lifting
chair.
chairs, moving. She's just putting them back and forth. They're not really.
No, we started to rearrange a little furniture before the podcast started, and we didn't finish.
That's so funny.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
We love you, Mommy. All right, so
Corinne says,
Corrine,
"Nice to meet you, man."
Corinne, before
Mommy says, "Hey."
Hey, hey, hey.
so let's go back. Let's go back.
We're running back.
We're running back. Let's hear how you got into the industry. How did you get into florals? And tell us everything. Don't hold anything back. Let us know how you got in, where you started, where you went, and how you ended up with detail software.
Okay. So winding all the way back, like rolling it all the way back.
This is before there were child labor laws.
Yeah,
She was young.
So my family actually had nurseries, or they still do, in Apopka, Florida. And we created, we were the inventors, I think, of the terrarium. Those 6-sided mirrored glass terrariums. My father and his dad, so much like a family business, had a company called Bill Brown's Greenhouses. So we would import it
with the driftwood,
yes,
inside
and all the
of them,
cactus.
man.
So
Yeah.
I was like,
I used to buy those when I was in New York. I wonder if I bought from them.
I bet you did,
So
because
funny.
we actually branded the bottom of our terrarium with our Bill Brown's logo. So, but it was crazy because
And they had the colored sand. They had the colored
Yes!
sand designs on the bottom.
with the sticks, you could make like little designs.
Yeah.
That was my Uncle Danny's whole design concept. But they sold thousands of those. And I remember my brother, they would put him to work out in the greenhouse sweeping the floor. Like they would make him sweep. And I was like, this is the most unglamorous thing. I am going to be
The dirt
so
floor?
far
The dirt
removed
floor.
from this business that I can imagine. But in high school, I was actually a Chuck E. Cheese birthday event performer. So I would complete all the like birthdays and do the event production for our local Chuck E. Cheese.
And dance with the rat.
I was on the
and
dance
celebrate.
team. I would do all like the celebrations, and so I
But
did
you
that.
weren't Chuck E. Cheese. You didn't wear the mascot.
I would not wear that
No.
mouse
Those robotic,
outfit.
weren't those,
No,
like,
too
robots on the
sweaty.
stage?
No, we would
No,
sit in the
back in the
back.
days, they used to have a guy who would wear the rat suit. And
Yes, they did.
They had the guy on stage, and then the robot would hide, and then a guy would come out in the rat suit. That guy was terrifying. That guy. I had nightmares of that guy.
No, I would love that, and I did a lot of the dance team. I wanted to go off to college, and so when I went to the University of Florida, I was a member of not only my sorority. I ran all the sorority Panhellenic.
What sorority were you in?
I was in Alpha Omicron Pi.
Oh, I don't know.
Omicron.
What's like the call or like the
AO Pi. Okay. I guess our unofficial name was Alcoholics on Parade, but no, it was not like that. But it was that was kind of fun. But I ran the speakers bureau, so we would bring in like Shaquille O'Neal and like Bob Dole and all these different things. And one thing I noticed was whenever we would bring in prestigious people, there was always so many gorgeous flowers for these different speakers. And so I was enamored with like just the gorgeous displays, and I'm like, okay, VIP flowers. And that's where I wanted to go. But I would often go to the University of Florida, different local flower shops, and try to get a job. And they were like, well, what flower experience do you have? And I was like, well, none. And they were like, well, you're not hired. And I was like, well, how do you get experience? So it just stuck in my mind that I wanted to work with flowers. And I met Florida Man shortly after leaving the University of Florida. I didn't graduate. I left school. Was completely like feeling like, my professors didn't.
Were you living in the Apopka? Were you living in the Apopka area?
No, Apopka is like 2.5 hours from Gainesville. So I went off to University of Florida, but my dad was really sick. He had multiple sclerosis. And so during like my junior year, he was really, really ill. And so I went home to spend time with the family. And then during spring break, I happened to meet my husband, Gregory, who later would become my husband. And he was living in Tallahassee. So we moved together to Tallahassee, and I started working for a local flower shop there, running all of their computer systems. And they wouldn't let me design, but I could sell bouquets and bouquets. So I must have sold like hundreds and thousands of bouquets for them during their holidays. Worked there for 2 years running their computer system. And then I don't know, I kind of pressed them hard during the holidays. Like, hey, if you're not going to let me design, I'm going to leave. And so they were like, well, who's going to run the computer system if you're doing these flowers? And I was like, well, I don't know. So I ended up leaving them and worked for another company across town, and started my love of just passion of designing flowers. And I did that for a little while. And then Florida Man got a job at Las Olas magazine in Fort Lauderdale. So we ended up moving at that time, ourselves and our 1-year-old daughter Avery to Miami, and moved to Doral. And I stayed at home for a year, being an at-home mom, which I thought would be the dream life. But I found that I was quickly wanting to get back to work. So I started working for an import company out of Miami, selling boxes of flowers.
Can we say the name?
At the time, it was called Floral. It was a really small company with a guy who used to work at, what was it, Sunburst Farms? Sunburst Dole. Like he started his own company. And I started selling for them. I quickly rose to like their lead salesperson. And he was like, well, I'm going to go off on my own. Do you want to come with my business? And so I was like, yeah. So I ended up working from him from my house. And then we moved back to Ormond Beach because I found out I was pregnant with a second child and didn't want to live in Miami anymore. It was just too crazy busy. But I worked at home selling boxes of flowers from my house with a small baby. I don't know how. I was like breastfeeding on the phone while I was like selling flowers. And but I was really good at it. I created a lot of great relationships. J.W. Perry, all the Boston Flower Market, all the New York Flower Market, they were all buying their flowers from me. And I would remember, I was like, my husband was shooting like swimsuit models. So I would send them pictures of these like really attractive swimsuit models in the boxes and like sign it "Love Corrine," just to make them like buy more flowers from me, because they were like, I got this hot girl on the phone, I'm gonna buy. Like I was doing anything to sell flowers. Like I was like, I want to fit in nicely here at Just with your salespeople, because I was like, however I can sell these flowers, I was like doing it. But I was like, I don't know. I enjoyed it so much, but I was always so angry with my buyers. Like, why didn't you have more purple flowers? If you had purple, I could have sold whatever, but you got a good buy on yellow, and no one's wanting to buy a yellow flower when they're looking for purple. And so it like stuck in my head, like, why didn't you know what people are going to ask for? Because I would make more commission if you would have had it. And so, I always wanted to be like a wedding designer and do all these glamorous things. Like I was looking into all these magazines, and that's all I wanted to be. So I don't know. I kind of moved away from that and opened a boutique in Daytona Beach and started selling flowers. And I don't know, it just took off, but there was no system. There was no system of methodology to help me do this. So once I kind of put all of that work together and realized that in the moment that I had to bid out a job, I needed to know all the flowers that I needed for that event, it occurred to me that if I got more florists to do that same system, then I had solved the other problem. So that's kind of where I started, and I don't know, it was a wild ride. Like I look back and like, wow, how did I get from there to here? But it was all the small steps and everything I learned and the people I met.
So how long did it take you from the moment you started, you had your boutique, you're thinking you need some software, you're doing events, and then how long did it take you to put from that idea to get to detail software?
Oh gosh. So I had the idea when I was pregnant with my son. He's 14.
So 14, almost 15 years ago.
Yeah, I probably sat on the idea for about 10 years.
Wow.
8 years.
Was there anything already in existence at that time, or you were like, man, this is what should be a thing, and you were just thinking of?
Well, I was really good with Excel. So when I started working for the import company, we would send out these lists of all the products and the pricing, and it was all done in Excel. I had never seen Microsoft Excel prior to that. And so I got really familiar with it. And when I first launched my company, I created all our proposals in this. And I searched and searched for a system, but there was nothing out there. And then when I started really digging in, I ventured out to different computer programming companies that could potentially build this. And they were like, well, it's going to cost upwards of $1 million to build out this piece of technology. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just a florist.
Right.
Like, how am I going to get $1 million to build out this? And so it really seemed like a pipe dream, but I didn't tell anybody. Like, I didn't tell anybody what I knew could happen because I was so afraid that like an FTD or Teleflora would come along and steal my idea and then build it out. So it was definitely a long period of time.
That's very smart.
Well, but what happened is once I had the MVP, which is like a minimum viable product, at that point, to sell it, you have to tell people. Like, you have to really like be vulnerable enough to say, okay, well, this is my idea and this is where we are, because I have to sell it to customers. So at that point, it was like I was always constantly worried that someone would come up and want to push me out of the way. But it took a while. Like, I didn't have all the funding. I ended up meeting some people along the way that were like, hey, you should come to the Florida Venture Forum. This is where all the venture capitalists go to see new companies. And so I would go and watch these companies that were created some new innovative product line and something, and they would get up and pitch their business, and they would have 8 minutes to basically sell their product to a room full of investors. And I was like, okay, if that's what I need to do to raise $1 million, then I'm going to get up there and learn how to pitch. And so I spent a lot of time just watching, learning, watching Shark Tank and seeing all the different ways that they were pitching. And I ended up winning the Rollins business competition, which Rollins College is in Winter Park, Florida. They have an annual pitch competition, and out of 80 companies, I ended up winning
wow, that's
$50,000.
Congrats.
So yeah, which got
That's
me
a big
along
deal,
my way.
man.
That was the big
That's a
big
huge
starter
deal.
that got the ball rolling, basically.
Yeah, well, and I did a bunch of pitch competitions before that and was basically like harassed, and all of these different venture capitalists were basically like told me, oh, you have a pie in the sky idea, you're never going to go anywhere with this, and like booed me off the stage like a year prior to me winning. And I remember going home and just crying, like they just don't get it. Like, what am I not explaining about how important this is to the industry?
Did you have anything already built, like programming wise, like software wise, or were you just showing like concepts?
Well, initially, I originally hired a company out of India that took my Excels to turn it into a spreadsheet. But what I found was that it wasn't visually stimulating enough where anybody in my market would want to use it. It looked like a DOS program. It looked like DFlower.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember DFlower. But so I went back to the drawing board, draw it at every page. And then after that, I found someone that could take my visual graphically beautifully designed to create something, because I knew that florists are artists. They don't want to sit back and look at something really ugly to like create these events. They want something that's going to look like the work. And so I knew that it would take that. So at that point, when I won the competition, I had went back, I had hired an American developer, and that's
I gotta ask. I know I'm not in the room, so it's hard for me to jump in. But I gotta ask, Like, so lately I've been forced to learn how to pitch an idea to I'm talking to a couple of different banks about it. And that shit is hard, man. That like the questions that they ask and how do you like I think I'm not the only person who wants to like have an idea. Like, how do you prepare for a pitch for flower businesses? How do you even do that? How did you do it? Like, you won, you got like
Well,
80 companies and they chose you. I mean,
well, I guess it just comes from the repetition of doing and learning. You know, I think that there's a business model canvas that a lot of companies use to really break down, like, what is your value proposition? Who is your market? What are these segments? There's like 8 different slide decks that you need to master, and you need to have all the information prepared and like be able to present it in such a succinct way where you are checking off all the boxes of what they're looking for. And not only do you need to know that, but you need to know the numbers off of the top of your head about what this is going to cost and what your metrics are. So it wasn't until I got that pressure to really look into the numbers. And even I mentioned it during that growing profitability at Flori Expo, like, you need to know your cash flow projections back and forth, and you need to be really honest with what the numbers are, and don't create some kind of wild presumption of what you can do. Like, you need to have real factual numbers, because when they see it really quickly and they're able to do math so quickly in their head to know that these numbers don't add up to what you're saying. So you need to know that what you're saying is like spot on. And I think when I just got really real and could provide actual evidentiary support of what I was proclaiming that we could do, that's when it took the turn. But I got so much pressure, and so many people that I didn't realize in the time were potentially my biggest advocates, but in the moment, years prior, they were like my biggest, like, you suck, you're not gonna do this, you're a failure. And mainly it was to see if I was gonna rise above and could meet the challenge, and like, did I have enough grit to like bring this product to market. So it took a lot of pain actually to get through. And I knew I was doing something more for the florist. Like, every time I got in front of people, I knew that I wasn't just pitching for me, but I was pitching for the entire industry, because everybody needs this information. Mm-hmm.
So I was for me, I was banking on experience, knowledge, and a plan was enough. But that isn't nearly enough, and I needed to go back and like many times with a new. So for me, I'm just learning about that kind of things, and I think it's amazing that out of 80 people,
well, it's really intimidating as a woman, because happen. When I noticed when I would go to these pinch competitions, there'd be like 20 men and me. Like, I was like, you know, 28 years old, 30 years old woman, and up against these like 50-year-old guys, and everybody making the decisions is typically a 50, 60-year-old white man in a suit. And like, how can you make your business relatable? They would always say, oh, what does this girl know? She's so young. She's so she has no business experience. But I knew that I was fighting for everybody that was in my industry that was also like me, or a minority of sorts. So it was a lot of pressure, but it was, you know, I look back with fondness now, because I'm like, okay, well, I survived that. And guess what? I don't have anybody, like, I don't owe anybody anything. Like, I'm the owner. I didn't take any of the VC money. I've paid back all of my investments, those early investments. And I have no pressure to do anything other than the pressure I put on myself, or what my customers are asking me for now, which I think makes a big difference in the direction.
Kudos, man. That's really awesome. It's listening to you now. It's like
That's
like
super.
an amazing episode of Shark Tank and how people get there. No, you laugh. I'm dead serious. Like, you know, everything that you're pinpointing, you know, and like when you hear, you know, Mr. Wonderful say, how did you get to this evaluation of your company, that your company is a $10 million company and you want this much money, you know, like, it's amazing. Like, those are the things that you went through, and that's, you know, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it was a really exciting period of time, but I didn't know any other way. And so I joined all these different incubation groups. Like UCF was really a huge advocate for me. I now have a partnership with Stetson University, who is working in our software into their sales program. So anybody getting a major or minor, they actually learn details and they learn how to pitch our software into their program. So I feel like
awesome.
Wow.
it's just like I want to introduce everybody to the floral industry. And I think that we're such a diverse, unique industry, you know, from the import side to the exporting side to all the logistical. I feel like there's so much to learn as far as international business goes that I'm still learning. Like, obviously I've learned a lot and I have a lot to share, but I'm also like just absorbing everything and trying to like, how can I translate this or involve this into our next pursuits.
So has Details gone international yet?
We have, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where?
So we are in 13 different countries. We're widely in Canada. We've just started marketing in the United Kingdom. We have florists in Ireland, Italy, South America, Australia, South Africa.
Good job. That's awesome.
Do you guys do anything special to like branch out internationally, or you just use marketing and just standard,
It's
social media and just
crazy that people just find us from different like Facebook groups.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, if you get found, or is that, or do you
Yeah.
seek them?
So we haven't done a lot of Google advertising as far as other countries. I've been really afraid to do that because we don't have like quite the localization to translate
Right.
into multiple languages just yet. So that's like one of the next things that we're looking to do is to branch out into other countries, I guess, and other languages. But it's just been really interesting that everybody in these other countries also has the same problems that our current florists have.
Yeah.
And like, how do you calculate different stems or knowing what products are available in different times of year? And I feel like there's not really been a succinct data way to figure that out up till now. So it's kind of crazy for me.
So I got a call the other day, Fern. I got a call the other day from a friend of ours up in New York who just bought a large retail shop, who discovered that they have like 100 weddings booked, and the way that they're trying to figure it out, they have a mess on their hands, a big mess. And he called me to say, hey, what's the name of your friend who has the software to do weddings and events? And I told him Details. He goes, yeah, that one. I need you to put me in touch with her right
Is this
away.
George?
Yeah. So did you speak to him
No, well,
yet?
I've been here. So I have had some new people that have been handling George. And I'm like, I really want to get in there and talk to them next week because I feel like his designers are giving him pushback, but I don't feel like they have, from what my understanding is, so many companies don't recipe out their designs and they are doing it backwards. And like they sell something, but like they don't even know if they can meet these price points, which is like crazy to me because I think there's so many aspects of the business that people don't really think about when they sell a large scale event, and they don't even know if they can create a design based on the price that they've quoted it at. So to me, that is a real problem. And I feel like a lot of florists have it all living in their head. They have so much living in their head.
Especially now with all this ramped up event work that like people are doing double, triple, quadruple what they ever did before. Now more than ever, I think you need to get a handle on your costs, and you need to know what you need to buy, and you need to put in a reservation for that way in advance. So the rental guy has enough chairs and the linens guy has enough of what you need, because there's only so much to go around. And if these people are doing it on an Excel spreadsheet, or if they're doing it on a pad and a pen,
well,
it's a
there's
mess.
so many ways for there's human error to exist. And so that's why I love that you guys have your products all right online for our customers all to see. And they can pick out the products that they want to use. And as they start calculating this out, they know if they're going to be profitable on that event. But a lot of times these companies, before they're working with Details, might bid out an event and they don't even know once they buy all the flowers if they were profitable on that event till they have a time in 2 or 3 months in the future to sit down and look at those numbers of what they spent.
That's probably what stood out the most to me during your speech is you know, when you're pointing out that, you know, the number one mistake that most event florists make is that they look at something, they're like, oh, it's not the right, you know, let me buy some more hydrangeas, let me add some more garden roses. And you're right, they're not looking at the numbers. They sold a vision
and they want it to match, so they buy all this extra product, but they don't spend the time to know that their calculations have added up right. So they realize 2 to 3 months after the event, when it's all said and done, that they lost money on it. And they're like totally like trying to dig themselves out of this hole that they've created from themselves. And so that was the aha moment for me as a developer, is like, I need to know before that event happens what my costs, what my prices are going to be, how much product I'm going to need. And that was like really the driving point, because if I could get more florists to use this, we would help out the rest of the supply chain by having the more time. Like, we're all looking for more time, is like, how can you fulfill these orders? And if you're not profitable,
there's no more
you can't
time.
be profitable after the fact. You can't make those changes after you buy all that product. So
yeah, there's no going back to, you know, to a customer and saying, hey, I need an extra $1,000. It cost me a little more for your wedding. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do it. And but a lot of the times we sell on a vision. So you know your reputation lies on creating the vision that you've sold to this particular, you know, client. And if I think florists are the most giving people, because they know their reputation is on the line and they will make it look like something that they've sold visually. But even if the numbers don't add up,
I agree,
because they just don't want to disappoint anybody. We're such people pleasers at the end of the day. But most of them are artists and they are not really mathematicians. So that's a difference, you know.
We had the pleasure of having Rafi and Carlos from Pedal Productions, who are also customers of yours.
They are
great friends, but they pointed out, you know, how much time they're saved in their business and how it frees them up to do so much more just by using your software.
He threw out a crazy number of what they spend on just like oversights and mistakes. Like, I don't remember what the number was.
I don't remember, but it was crazy, a big number.
I know that your software is fixing that number.
Well, you know what's really crazy is they were a really hard sell for us at the beginning. And I wanted to bring them on. And, you know, Details is not expensive for people to use. You know, it's like $1,500 for the whole year. So I think in their realm, they're doing like, what, 1,000 events a year or something?
Yeah.
It's like, what, $5 an event? Or not even that. Like $1.50 an event that you're playing. So it's like crazy. But what they told me was that before they used our software, I think they were able to do like 6 or so events a weekend, just because it took so long to write a proposal and do all the calculations. And now they're doing anywhere from 15 to 20 events a weekend. Like, that to me is crazy. I never wanted a business quite that big for myself when I was doing the production aspect, because all those employees, it just boggles my mind. But here they're in a really great market, and to see them being so successful is like, it makes me so proud. It's like, wow, that is what I dreamed of. And when I go to their place and you see like just all of our recipe, like the Details, like recipe sheets, it's like they threw up Details all over their walls. And I'm just like, this is amazing. It's no kind of business that I would ever really, I would be so stressed just to the capacity and the inventory that they manage is just wild. But
are there different levels of Details, like
not currently, you know? We really I don't think we're well suited for like a beginner florist. We are going to be launching soon. This is very private, but a more portfolio. So if you want a lower level, if you just want to house your designs, we're going to offer something like that. But we are really just more a data point, and where we really feel like our value lies is the future of the rest of the industry. So every time a florist creates an event and they use the products that one of our partners supplies, we're tracking all those analytics, so that basically you can, as a supplier, you can see how your product is performing amongst our entire customer base, and do you need to buy more of that or have more of that available during certain times of the year. Or if you're a grower, maybe you need to grow more of that product specifically. So It's more of a trends outlook and a futures forecast, but I think there's a lot of power in the data. Mm-hmm.
Data is knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
It's 100%.
I love it. I love
Dun,
all those
dun, dun.
numbers.
You're
Yeah.
definitely a number. She was
That's that
Corrine
Excel
was
sheet
talking.
thing. Yeah.
Corrine was
I know,
talking
I'm like-
about what was that? It was your
Freaky
cash
in my
flow. Your
spreadsheet.
cash flow. Your cash
Yeah.
flow spreadsheet. And she's like, I'm in it all day. And one guy's looking and he's like, why do you go into it so many times? She's like, I'm a tinkerer. I like to make sure. I like to make sure that the numbers are right. And we can invest and do this show. And yeah, we can invest and do that. And the guy looked a little puzzled, but I got you. I understood what
Yeah,
you
well,
meant.
it's so crazy to me because like different people want me to participate in their like in their shows or like do this event, and it's like, okay, well, let me add that to my cash flow projection, but I don't just want to participate this year. I need to know that I can do this for the next 5 years, because for us, we want to make it like not like a one-off kind of thing. I want to know that I can invest in these companies for the next 5 years. So I have cash flow projections that go into the next 5-7 years to see how these things will play out. And if something is not right or doesn't seem to be panning out, then we'll remove it from our cash flows. So I think it's really cool. I love
think it's
numbers.
awesome. I like numbers a lot.
Freaky
I look
in the
at a lot of
spreadsheets,
numbers,
you know?
and I'm always checking stuff out. I like the numbers.
It's a great. I could see like Excel guys with that shirt.
Freaky in the numbers.
spreadsheets. Freaky in the spread.
Damn it, Ryan! That's a new shirt. We need it.
That's-
Detail software.
I mean-
Freaky
What?
in the spreadsheets.
I love it. We couldn't put that out, but come on now.
There you go. That
Hey,
should.
we're
I want
all-
to see that at Wedding MBA. Everyone should have that shirt.
We're gonna collaborate for Wedding MBA.
Yeah. I got a big 20 by 20
I think I need to
booth.
go to Wedding MBA. I think I gotta
You
be there.
do. We always stay up in the Bellagio. We need a fountain room
I stay
that overlooks the
not for
mountains.
shows, but like when I go to Vegas personally, I'll stay at the Cosmo because you get that fountain view
Oh,
right
you
there.
do, and you have a
get the
balcony.
Well, y'all,
That's
the
the
balcony.
only reason
Yeah.
we go to the
Watching the
Cosmos
fountains
is the
from the
balcony.
balcony. Of course, you.
I
You get
know.
it, you get
It's
it.
amazing.
Yeah. So you skipped over that. You really
No,
did.
I mean-
So you had brain cancer.
Oh,
That's crazy.
well, I wouldn't really say cancer. So they do say that if you have a brain tumor, I guess it is like they grade them on level 1 to 4, like 4 being most intense. I was a 1, so like I never.
There should. I mean, like you. I get it for doctors' purposes. There's levels for intensity, but like brain tumor, they're all level 20, right?
Yeah.
How could there be a difference, right, in your side of it, right?
Well, it was kind of crazy when it went down because I had been having seizures. I had one a month for 4 months. And the last one I have was at the actually 2019 at the SAF conference. And Greg and I were standing on the beach and I whistled to Lisa from 50 Flowers. I don't know if you know her. She was walking on the beach and I whistled and I started having a seizure. And Greg and I looked at each other and we were like, okay, we need to, as soon as we get home, find out what's going on. So I left the conference kind of a little unsure of what's going on. And like I said, my dad had multiple sclerosis. So it had always lingered in the back of my head that I might have had a hereditary.
Is that hereditary? Yeah.
I didn't really know. Like they say not, but like I didn't know. And he had a lot of different things when I was growing up, just seizures and different spasms and all this. And so I was like, well, I just didn't want to be told that's what I had. So I was kind of being in this avoidance stage. But I remember I had been in deep discussion with Accent Decor, and as an entrepreneur, I had always dreamed of working with Accent Decor to have all their products on our site. And they left SAF saying, "Hey, let's talk on Wednesday." And so the Wednesday following, and I knew I had this big meeting with Accent Decor. Well, I also called my doctor when I got back from SAF on Monday, and they're like, "Hey, we can meet with you on Wednesday." So I had this meeting in the morning with Accent Decor, and they told me at the moment that they wanted an exclusive contract with details. They wanted all their products represented.
Nice.
To me, I was like, this is like I'd made it as an entrepreneur. Like my dream had been fulfilled. So there was champagne and all this going off, and so it was like I was so happy, so elated as an entrepreneur. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go to my doctor's appointment now. So later that day, when I got to the doctor's, they were like, well, this sounds very odd. We probably need to send you for a CAT scan. So I was like, okay. So I went and sat in this machine, came back to the office, and I got a call from my doctor, and they're like, hey, you have like a 5-centimeter brain tumor on your head. And I was just, it was like the best day and the worst day of my life had just collided. And I couldn't believe it, because I was like, you know, you get to this dream as an entrepreneur of like, this is what's going to accomplish. And so I was doing all the celebrations, and not but an hour and a half later, I was told, like, I thought I was going to die.
Can you imagine getting some of the best news and the worst news on the same day?
In the same day. That's wild.
It was just really wild. And so from that point on, it just went into full on like, I don't even know. We didn't have any will and testament for our kids. The business had not really been covered the way that it probably needed to be protected.
Can I ask, like, when the doctors told you, did they like give you like any more information or outlook or any like?
Well, it's so crazy.
Was it in a specific spot that was?
Yeah, it was on my left frontal lobe, which controlled my speech, which was why I was having the speech seizures, and also my ability to walk. So that was part of it. And they were living in Daytona Beach. Like, you don't want to be here. Like, hey, we're going to give you this brain surgeon in Daytona Beach. Like, so my mom, her new husband, after my dad passed away, she's got remarried, had this really amazing neurosurgeon at the Mayo Clinic. And so he made a bunch of calls, and they got me an appointment. So as it turns out, I was able to get into the Mayo Clinic like a week and a half later. And when they did the scans, they were like, well, we need to get you into surgery right away. And I was like, well, I have this like event happening in Vegas.
I got a presentation.
Like, I really need to be there. Like, so they were like, okay, well, we can postpone it till like 5 days after you get back from Vegas. And so, as it turns out, I got the most amazing, like, brain surgeon, pretty much the guy who wrote neurosurgery, Dr. Quiones. He's a Mexican immigrant that jumped the fence in Mexico, came to America, learned English. He was a tomato migrant farmer, and ended up learning English. He went on to Berkeley and then Harvard Medical School, and then ran Johns Hopkins. So he is like a whole...
He's like the American dream.
He
like
is
the story
total
of
American
the total
dream.
story.
He actually has a movie coming out about his life that Brad Pitt and Disney are producing.
No way.
Wow.
But
and that's
he
your
was...
doctor.
And
That's
you're in that
impressive.
movie, right? You're gonna be one of
I
the...
said, do you need my head? Like, can I be a head model? But he has actually turned into one. He texts me all the time, but I've made super, super good friends with this brilliant man who I just trusted wholeheartedly with my life. So 3 weeks after I got my diagnosis, I had the tumor removed. I was walking the next day, and they were completely like in shock. Like, Dr. Q was like, I cannot believe you're walking. And it was actually like it was attached to the main artery in my brain. So as they were like removing it, it was like disconnecting a bomb. And at any moment they were like, you could have like died on the table. And the fact that I woke up and was just like, it was miraculous. I actually think that my dad had a lot to do with it, because my dad's illness affected his ability to speak and his ability to walk. And I don't know, I feel like Dr. Q saved my life, but that my dad was like looking over me the whole time. So
wow, man.
She said, because that's a crazy, amazing story. Do you think like that's like, because you're very, very bubbly, very personable, and very fun person to hang out with. Were you like that before? Do you think that kind of changed a little bit afterwards once the situation kind of went away? Are you still, and I assume you're still dealing with this and regularly still, right? You have to go for checkups and...
Yeah, I have to have an MRI every 6 months. They think they got most of the tumor. It was a very slow growing tumor. So they were like, if it does grow back, it will be like, you'll be 80 and you might have to have it excised again. So at this point they don't see it coming back, but, I don't know. It was really wild because my dad, the last 15 years of his life, he couldn't talk. Like, he communicated via blinking. And, before the surgery, I always like wondered, like, will I be the same person? Like, when I wake up from the surgery, will I know who I am? Will I remember all these great things? So like before the surgery, like I really tried to get my business in order, my affairs in order, make sure like who's going to take this on, like who is going to know like everything that I know that I want to do with like the industry. And with the business. And so I feel like I was like totally filling my poor children's head with like, this is what you're gonna do. Like, it was like, that is not really what you need to be thinking about, 3 weeks before a major surgery. But there was like no time to like really evaluate that. So it was funny, before I went into the surgery, Greg and I, my husband, we had a joke that is like, if I'm completely normal when I wake up from the surgery, that I will look at him and say, hey, this isn't my husband. My husband's that attractive doctor over there. And so when he like came into the room, the doctor's like, hey, here's, this is Greg. And I was like, no, that's not my husband. And they were like, yes, it is. And they were like, no. And he's like, yeah, no, she knows. This is a joke. This is a joke. Like, she knows. But
the doctor was freaking out. The doctor's like, oh no, I messed up.
Yeah, they were all like, no. And he's like, no, this is our inside joke that like she was going to say this beforehand. So I don't know. I kind of have a good spirit, but I realize now, like, I was suffering for 20 years with headaches. And I just thought that I just had like a lot of my mind, and there was
a lot of stress
from starting a business. But no, it was so much pressure in my head from this, like, it was literally the size of my fist or bigger. That was like in my head. So I feel like once I awoke from the surgery, like, I have just been such a much lighter person, not nearly as intense or not nearly as angry. Like, I'm not nearly as willing to throw my like iPhone across the room or like a remote control when people are just too loud.
I don't think I've ever seen her angry.
I don't know. I met Corrine
I'm sure there's
she was
an
super
angry
sweet.
side, but I haven't
But
seen
she
it.
does. Corrine, you don't look like you get angry, so I can only assume it changed
only
your
if,
outlook
like,
on life, right?
No, but it totally did. Like, when I woke up, I can just remember just feeling such an amount of extreme joy that I actually got to continue with my life, which I don't think is what a lot of people actually ever experience. So I feel like it was such like, I approach anything like, yes, I was scared to go to Floral Expo and speak, but I'm like, holy heck, this is like living life. Like, you go to live life to have these like moments of fear or moments of like, I don't know, just difficulty, but you know that you can survive anything. It's like, okay, I know this might...
It could be worse, right?
It could be worse.
Be a lot fucking
You
worse.
could
But
probably,
then
I would imagine like those moments where you're like scared of what's about to happen when it's finished and it's all over. That's most of the rewarding moments usually,
Yeah.
like.
But I can say that I felt, I just couldn't stop smiling when I woke up from my surgery. Like, wow, I get to keep on living. And like, to me, that is like such a beautiful moment, and I will never forget that. Like, I loved all of my nurses. Like, I don't know. It's really quite
life altering. It's life
altering. So.
Was after that moment, you were eager and excited to go back to details, or was there something like I wanted to be a world traveler or something?
So when I woke up from my surgery, I was so excited to like get back into my cash flow projections.
That's what I was wondering.
And I was like on my computer, but it's so funny because your eye-hand coordination is not the same. So I'd be like scrolling with my mouse, and it would be like going all over like the computer. And I was like, getting that eye-hand coordination was like, wow, like, look at how weird. I know that this is what I think I'm doing, but it's not where the mouse is going.
Wow.
So that but like, so those things sit easy on my mind. But I don't know, building a business, Mike, there's nothing like it. Like, you've come from, like, I really came from nothing. And so now every day when I see like how our customers are growing, like, I'm just so excited about that. But I know I just feel so grateful to my doctors, especially because I've been a mentor to many people since the surgery has happened, and that have been going through the same thing. And like, it all is about your outlook. Like, I see people crash and burn and don't do well from these surgeries, but it's because they have a miserable outlook on life. And like, I always felt like very just grateful and harmonious and just so just felt all the love. And I think your outlook has a lot to do with how well you'll recover from something. So have a positive outlook is all I can say.
That's
Great tip.
Yeah.
Great tip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. Look at Fern. He looks like he's tearing up.
No, man. You know, like
this guy.
You hear a story like that and you see what you've been through, and, you know, man, having the greatest news for your business and then getting personally the worst news of, you know, of your life, and not knowing where you're going to go, what you're going to be, if you're going to wake up again. I mean, wow.
Well,
Wow.
And to me, it was like, wow, I'm really set up now. Like, God in his mind was laughing. He was like, okay, what are you going to do with this? You know? So it was
How are you going to overcome this challenge?
Yeah. It's like, okay, you got everything you wanted. Here you go. Well, now this is what's happening now. So to me, it was like such a big eye opener that you just never know what you're going to be delivered and how are you going to react to this. And so for me, I just wanted to document every moment of that experience. And even if you go back and look at through my Instagram, like I really wanted to take people on that journey. Like I didn't know what that month between my diagnosis to my surgery was going to bring for me, but I approached it with like a great attitude and was just like, this is what I'm going through. And I almost thought, like, I really did feel like, okay, well, he's not going to let me not see the other side of this mountain because I'd worked too hard to like get there. So it can't end here. So like that kind of, that's just
I'm not ready to go. You weren't ready to go.
I'm not ready. Like, I just felt like it's kind of a cruel joke to like get me to this point and not see what's on the other side. So for me,
how did you guys get your kids through that? How did you guys like that? I mean, I can't imagine like how do you, mom's going in for surgery. I mean, just the whole thing, just, you know, the business is one thing, but the family's a whole nother.
Yeah. I can remember like I woke my kids up the night that we had to drive like an hour to the Mayo Clinic from our house, and I woke them all up hugging them and like, wow, is this the last time they're gonna hug their mom? And that was really like the hardest thing, is to like wake them up and like know that it might be the last time that I gave them like those kind of moments. But also like when I woke up from that surgery, it was like, hey, I'm here. Is your room
back.
clean? I know.
Did you do your homework?
Yeah, right.
Love
but
Can't say no to mom after that.
Yeah,
no,
but I really
Mom's
have the best
invincible.
kids.
Mom's invincible. You got to do whatever she says.
Yeah, and I think they all think that they're very good kids, so respectful, and just they know how much we've been through.
All her kids are named they all start with the letter A. They're just straight A's.
Yeah,
I like
it's
that.
cute, you know. Until I heard of George Carlin after I had my last kid, and he's like, anybody that names their kids all with the same first name is an idiot. I was like, what did I do wrong? George Carlin.
I love that guy. I love that guy.
But he's got you.
Yeah, I love that guy.
He's got his finger on the pulse. Usually.
The fact that Corrine likes George Carlin, your stock points just went up.
Yeah.
Hugely.
I know, I love George Carlin. I mean, God rest his soul. Yeah.
Mike tells us the bit on George Carlin when he's talking about God.
There's a new HBO documentary that's on now with him.
He has
I'm
a lot of
waiting to
feelings
see
about
it.
golf courses too, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What does he say about golf course? No,
I don't know. It's just so much land that we all. I don't know. I remember it from a long time
Robin
ago.
Williams has a great golf stand-up bit, like when they invented golf, the Irish who invented golf.
I've heard that.
It's a good bit.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So man, what a story! What a journey! What a story! What a
Thank you.
journey! You
This
bring
wasn't
it-
that long ago, though, right? How long
No,
ago
this
was
is 2019. This is 2019.
Shit.
Pre-COVID, right before COVID.
Oh,
shit.
it was right after COVID. I was like, what the heck? I'm supposed to be celebrating the world shutting
Did you
down
blame
now?
COVID for it?
I mean, I was really disappointed
It's
by
one of those
COVID.
weird
I
side
was
effects.
like, there's really a way to womp my whole spirit. I'm like, I'm on my like rally here for life, and it's like I gotta be locked up. No way.
So I can imagine now that after that, this is not recent. I mean, this is so recent, so it's got to be just positive outlook and big ideas for the future, right?
Yeah, it's you have to have a bit of restraint. Like you can't really go out into the world. I guess you can, but I don't know. We just approach everything as like, what is the opportunities and how are we going to approach this and what's the best way? And I mean, I'm sure you guys are doing all that, but I don't know. I love what we're doing. I think there's so much promise, and I still have a lot of naysayers that just don't believe in what we're doing. So I'm always like, I'm gonna show you. God has my back. Like, I don't know. I'm like golden child here. So I'm like, but I do think that
we went through
someone's
that
looking
as well.
out for me.
We went through that as well. A lot of naysayers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's hard to like live with that. So I'm always feeling like I'm needing to prove myself, and I feel like the only person I really need to prove is
I don't think you need to prove yourself or prove anything.
I think that motivates. That motivates.
Yes.
I think those kind of things, those are motivations.
Well, they should be. You're not if you don't have any haters, you're not being successful.
Oh.
When you know you're successful when people are talking shit and hating on you.
I know. I'm like, why don't they like me?
They don't like you.
But you have rivals.
Not you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got a
Kind
few
of.
rivals. They have a lot of
them as
copycats.
well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do you see them like rivals? Or
I was about to mention them. I had to stop myself.
No, I think that,
should we not talk about that? I don't know.
no, I think that's relevant. I feel like people don't even know, but I'm like, no, they're copying us.
Right.
They're copying us. They're straight up copying us, almost to the same font. In the same, I'm like, okay, well, let's change our font now. Like, I don't want people thinking that we are copying them, but I'll get a lot of people that will come in and say, hey, your software looks a lot like this one. And I'm like, oh no, theirs looks a lot like ours.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like it's crazy, because when I was doing all these investor pitches, everybody was like, well, you don't want to be the first one out the gate. And I'm like, okay, well, what if you are?
Yeah.
What if you are the first one out the gate? Like, it's a really hard place to be in, because I think that people are always on your tails. They're always wanting to like one up you, and so that like pushes us that much harder to say, okay, we're gonna get this product out first. And it
pisses me off.
It does. It pisses me off too, Mike. Come on now.
It's supposed to be complimentary, right? Everyone tells you, oh, if they're copying
Fuck
you.
that shit. That pisses me off.
Well, and it's like crazy, because I have there's people who've put out negative ads on like Google about us, and
Of course.
Oh, welcome to the club.
That person also reviewed a Chuck E. Cheese and a Chinese food restaurant.
Yeah.
They the people who give you bad reviews, they're local reviewers.
From a guy. Yeah, we got a 1-star review from a guy who was disappointed, and
You don't gotta say his name.
No, we gotta edit that out. No saying names.
beep.
well, you
Look at our 1-star review. You know who it is. We only got one of them.
This guy gave a fucking.
They didn't sing when he gave him the $1 at the end.
How do you pick on a 16-year-old? How do you give a 16-year-old a 1-star review? They didn't scoop your ice cream good
That's
enough?
artisanal ice cream.
Give me a break. This is
No,
what we
but
live
someone
with.
put it on an ad like, that
please,
said, does details make you pull your hair out? Here's an alternative.
Oh,
And I
shit.
I called SAF about this, because I'm like, you guys go after people who are derogatory to the flower industry. Well, what about other companies that are part of our group here that are writing negative ads about other companies?
So
in
that
the
was
group?
one of the other ones.
Yes, I couldn't believe it.
Fuck those guys.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them. No.
I can imagine that.
But I called them out on it, because
Yeah.
you know what? A week later, they called me and they're like, hey, we are interested to see if we could maybe acquire your company. I said,
Look, motherfucker.
hey, I said, why would you want to acquire something that is so subpar? You're like putting out all this material. And they're like, oh, well, they claim they didn't have any recollection and their marketing people didn't know what they were doing. I'm like, you know what was happening. So I don't know, but I don't put a lot of that. This is actually the first time I've ever said any of this on here. So I don't know. But it really like rubs me the wrong way that they can like put out this negative press or advertising. And I had so many people call me that said, hey, do you see what this company's doing? We don't like it at all. We're so behind you because we don't like how they're going about their business. And it's like, yeah, thank you, because we don't do that kind of advertising, you know?
That's crazy. That's bold to call
It is.
straight up
Bold.
call
That is
out
straight
Yeah.
up call
the
out.
competition that way.
Like,
That's
look,
Yeah.
like
social
you never
media.
see Reebok or
No,
you know, like
they don't call out Nike,
Nah.
you know, but they're jealous. Like social media is the great double-edged sword. It's like the
Yes,
great
yes.
double-edged sword of the new
But
generation.
Google welcomes it. They want people buying those ads.
they don't make
and
it
then-
easy to take off
No,
1-star
no.
reviews.
No.
They keep them up there.
I got one off.
Who the hell gives a 1-star review to a Cold Stone Creamery? I still
It's
can't
ice
get
cream.
over
You
it.
leave deserve
I can't
three.
get over it.
3 stars for that.
How could it possibly be bad? I don't get it. But I agree with you. We had people laughing at us like we were a joke. Like it was a joke. These big giant companies, flower companies. I won't mention no names.
I
'cause
know who
Ryan
you're
doesn't
talking
like it,
about.
but
You
big
gotta say it when
giant
you
companies
cough.
laughing at us, and now the same fuckers who are laughing
Yeah.
at us are
Well,
just
there's
copying
no
us.
originality.
Just copy it. We come up with a new idea, and then the next day they have the same idea. It's either the greatest coincidence of all time, or they're copying us. And that Fern always says, "Oh, calm down. It's a compliment." Fuck that. That's not a compliment. That is like, you got deep pockets, pal. You need to get your own programs, you know. But you'll never change it. That's the sucky part about it. We gotta just keep being.
It's like you
we
said,
gotta
you can't
keep
sell
being
it unless you
ahead
pitch
of
it.
them.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I have to say against a lot of the companies that are coming
Yeah.
against us now is that I'm completely self-funded. Like, I have not raised millions of dollars to build what we're doing. Like, it has come from a florist, and this is someone who's bringing something to the industry, and anything that we build is come from the money that we've earned and the revenue that we've brought in to be able to add on to what we're doing. And a lot of times our technology is superior to theirs, and there's companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars that don't have the same type of technology that we're doing. And I'm like, where are they spending their money? Because we have created these APIs that can integrate with other software companies, and they're so far behind us that I'm like, wow, like look at that, what we have done. Well, and it's crazy to me. It's just crazy talk that I think, but I have nobody that's telling me what we need to do. Like,
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
telling myself what we need to do. I listen to my team, and the only people who tell us what we need to do are our customers. Like, they're like, hey, we need this. And it's like, okay, we're going to build that for you. It might take us a little longer, but when we do it, it's going to be right. It's going to be good. And it's going to be ours. Like, no one's going to tell us how to do this.
It's like Alex from Comment, the same thing. The customers give them the ideas, and they keep investing into that. And
Have they started to integrating with Comet and Details yet? Has that started?
You know, we are in discussion. We've talked to Alex. I think that we have a lot of synergies. I feel like this relationship with Jet Fresh has really been like the first bridge that can potentially build that out. But what I want to make sure that we do is that we get every single parameter and thing thought out before we start trying to integrate those and make those ties, because it will be much easier to make it a direct link than rearrange the plumbing later on because we've messed something up. So I want to make sure that we do it
Damn,
right.
Corrine knows her shit.
Rearrange the plumbing.
Yeah.
I like
Oh
that.
yeah, I
Phrase.
Well,
like that. That's a
come
great
on.
reference,
good-
man.
fantastic
That's a-
metaphor.
Hey, I've built a
Fantastic.
house before too, and if you get the plumbing wrong, you don't want to have to take down a wall.
Alejo, take notes. She's coming, man. Let's go.
Yeah, but I can appreciate what they are doing, and Alex sends a lot of. There's been a lot of companies that have been sniffing around and really wanting to get involved in what we're doing, and a lot of times it's because of Alex throwing out a good word and hey, check out Details, and I'm like, hey, Alex, I don't want them totally coming around here. Yeah, but I appreciate that, because I think that he and I are the same age, and it's kind of wild that we both have created this kind of software to help the rest of the industry, and I think we both want to be making the right decisions, because I don't think there's a lot of people that are looking at or gotten this far in the technology. So I want to make sure I do it right before I do it wrong.
I hope our listeners listen and take note and pay attention to Corrine's mission is not to line her pockets. It's to improve the industry, and that is one of the things that that I love. It's part of what I love about you, is that you're not focused on making money and, you know, I want to sell this to Wall Street, I'm going on Shark Tank. You're not focused on any of that. You're focused on truly fixing an issue that is in the industry that a lot of people have, and help the industry move forward and help people be profitable and not lose money and not look back 3 months and say, shit, I haven't made money in the last 2 months, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Kudos.
You know, I do want to give Florida Man a boat someday, so
Hell yeah.
it might be nice to have a boat, but
my
you
wife
know, other
got
than
us
that,
a pontoon boat, actually. She
no,
got
we
us
need a
a
yacht,
pontoon.
Mike. We're gonna have a details
Can
yacht.
we take like
someday.
some famous celebrity pictures and buy one? What's
yeah,
up?
right. Come on now.
Let me know, man. I'm going over. I'll go hang out with you guys.
But we need a boat in Miami, docked over there on Star Island or something someday. You know.
She's thinking real big.
She's thinking big. I like it.
But
I like
you know,
it.
gotta be able to take you to another Dolphins game
Let's
and like
go.
in our boat. You know, we're gonna go. But no,
You know,
it's been
sooner or
fun.
later they might put a moat around the stadium. You never know. The way the Formula One.
I was
went,
gonna
they
say the
put
Formula One where
Oh,
they
yeah,
fake the
yeah.
fake water.
Fake water. I think they're gonna keep that for the Dolphins game. We'll
That's-
party on a
yeah,
boat
that
for the
could work.
Dolphins game.
My forecast for details is the same as it was for Alex from Comet when I started with him, 12, 14 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. I always knew that he was going to become like
The
the
standard.
staple of the industry. And I have no doubt that you're either there or on your way there yourself with details. And I think you're just at the beginning. I think that down the road is going to be a whole lot of other fruits that's going to grow out of the details brand, because it is a brand.
Yeah. Thank you.
And people are in your customers are not talking to each other. It says, oh, go in the computer and do this or do that. They're saying, go in the details and do this and do that. You know?
Yeah, it's like
They're
the
talking
Google
about
phrase, like
your
you
brand.
go Google it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I like
Go
that.
details
Google
it.
But I think that there for a
Yeah,
long time that
exactly.
event florists and those that are doing those type of events haven't been given the right kind of like accolades, and we're really the front line to the whole industry. I mean, there's mass market and then there's the eventers, and we all need that kind of respect. And so if you want to sell more flowers, you got to equip your florists to be able to have them sell more flowers, because I think that we all rely on
Fern, grab that blue box for me right there.
This one right
Yeah, that blue box. Let me see that real quick. Sorry.
Oh.
So while he opens that, I've been on this. Oh, is that the plate?
Oh, look at this. What is
Hold
this?
on. I know where he's going with this.
This is for you.
This is for you.
Ooh.
You got. This is the pass the basket.
We're passing the plate. We wanna hear you preach. We wanna put $1 in your basket.
Almost
there.
every episode, these guys have stopped the person from talking and said, "Please pass the basket. I want to put $1 in."
I have no cash on
No,
me.
it's not for you to put money in. It's for us to put money in because you're for what
preaching. You're preaching.
Oh, okay.
You're preaching.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it just goes in the center.
You know,
don't have to-
Okay,
it's
yeah,
not-
thanks. I can put some bourbon in there. I don't know.
It's more. It was
I
more
like
for
it.
them.
I like
Yeah.
it. Pass the
What
plate.
is that? A hub?
That's an
Is that a
official.
Pass the
no, man,
plate.
it's an official church
It's a
basket.
church
It is
basket.
a church basket. I'm
Pass
feeling
the
it.
plate.
I thought it was a
I was
hub.
gonna
Preach.
buy the one on the stick that you had to.
Oh, that's
But I was like,
hilarious.
Yeah, this-
Where are you gonna put that?
We'll just talk to AA Ron next door. We'll have him
We'll put
attach
a
a
stick
stick
on
to
this,
it.
a
Don't
bridge
worry.
stick on this
I've been on this tirade, like I mentioned in Flori Expo. I've trying to change the way we look at the industry, trying to change the way event florist and a florist in itself, the way they look and the way they think. They're not selling flowers. They're not selling a product. They're selling a memory.
Yeah.
And that memory,
experience.
sometimes it's someone's core memory. It's their wedding day. It's the quinceañera. It's their baby shower. It's something they're never going to forget.
Carlos said it right, man, on his podcast with Rafi, that this is the most special day of their life.
Yes.
That it's like they're the one time that
I think
they're
Carlos
at
said
their
that.
happiest,
Yeah.
at their happiest moment of their life. So there's a huge responsibility that goes with what these amazing, talented event florists do. There's a huge amount of responsibility because someone's biggest day is counting on it.
Well, I made so many great relationships, and some of my best friends are some of the brides that I spent 9 months creating their wedding plans with. Like, we're still friends to this day. And so I wholeheartedly believe, and every time I sent a contract out or whenever I was doing these different events, I knew that I had such a special
Come on in. We got
special
Florida
experience
man
with these
joining
people.
us.
Oh my
All
god.
right.
The infamous.
The infamous Florida man.
This is going to go on the next.
That's it. You're in. You're on.
Oh yeah, here he goes.
Help him out, Joel.
Oh my gosh.
He's tangled up right there.
This is great.
Yeah.
Testing, 1, 2.
I'm going to need to step out for a bathroom break here soon. Yeah. This is him.
Florida man just joined us. This is a man that knows about making memories.
We're gonna roast Corrine.
Florida man
Hello.
captures. You're a videographer, you're a photographer. You capture some of people's best memories known around.
Absolutely, I love it. Made a life out of doing that.
Yeah. Love at first sight.
So all right. So let's touch on that. Now that you jumped in, now that you're here, where did you come from, Florida man? I hear a lot about you, dude.
Where did I come from? From right here, 305 till I die. Come on, I'm home right now.
Love it.
Wear my shirt for you guys. Tropical
Every city that Florida man visits, he says he's moving to, guys.
I like to make myself at home.
He's got his Zillow all set up. We'll be like, we're in Sarasota. He's like, we're moving here.
I found a $9 million penthouse on South Beach last night that looked amazing. I had the kids drive by and we took a look. It's wonderful. I'm a dreamer. Oh, wonderful. You guys want to see me get wild.
There you go. Yeah. We're not gonna let you go home today. Don't worry.
We're at the tail end of the episode, but since you stopped by and we had to
ask me anything.
Hey, easy.
So Corrine was just talking about, like some of her best friends have been, the florists that, when she was doing events, that she helped do their events and spend 9 months planning. I know you guys met in college. I know you're videographer, YouTube photographer.
Still images mostly throughout my career, but I'm most notorious for a viral video that I made many years ago that was like the viral video of the year.
Florida Georgia line, right?
Oh,
no,
that's
it was
something
a
different.
road rage video.
It was a road rage video.
Okay, let's hear about that.
Right?
Yeah, it was on Tosh.0 and MTV Ridiculousness.
Oh,
my
shit.
gosh.
Real deal. I didn't
Do you
know
get
that.
money for that?
I sure do. On the 15th of every month, I get a licensed little check that goes to my PayPal.
What does that check? What kind of
I
check?
probably have made about $15,000 off of the road rage.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
Off
don't
of
tell
one
me
video.
I'm gonna start videotaping.
Don't tell my
Holy
accountant.
shit.
But
Yeah.
being from South Florida, I saw
Meeting with our accountant, and he walks in. He was late. He is like, "Hey, I just caught the most wild video," and I was like, "No one cares about that." And the next day, like 20,000 people had downloaded his video, and then it turned into millions of videos.
I'm trying. I'm gonna start filming.
We need to play that video. My phone's I don't have my phone.
My phone
I
is
freaked
dead
out.
here. My phone's
Yeah,
dead.
look up Road Rage Daytona
He showed it
Beach.
to me yesterday. I
or
saw it.
pepper spray.
Yeah, he does show it off.
Ryan, I could videotape your mom. It would be a hit. I could just videotape your mom when she's driving.
Nah, this guy was like punching through windows and spray.
They asked
pepper
me if I
spray.
knew the guy. They said, "Do you know these people?" I said, "No, I do not know them," because I guess people try to.
You'd have to ask. I don't know exactly which video it was.
Just type in "road rage pepper spray," everybody.
We gotta attach that as a link somehow.
Oh my
to the
gosh, you
video.
gotta put
It's
it
got
in
my.
here.
We got you. We
but
got
yes.
He does give a little commentary as it's happening.
You can't not be watching somebody in your car and not
That's
say,
it, right there.
"Look at this motherfucker!
Hey,
Look at this
oh.
idiot! Look at this guy!"
I
Everyone's
catch
face.
people
I
doing
like to
stupid shit.
film people
I
as they
never
watch
think
it.
about recording. I'm just like,
He's
Let me
really
live in
quick
this
with his
moment.
How you know?
It's
You're
like a part
15.
of a montage there.
When the kids were young, one Christmas, they bought my wife this set of signs that you could hold up to people, like "fuck you."
Oh my
and,
God.
You're an asshole. It's all these signs that you could just hold up.
Fucking hilarious.
But over 500 million views worldwide.
Damn.
was a couple years ago.
Damn.
Crazy.
Yes, the viral video of the year, and I made a little bit of coin off of that. It was nice.
Fantastic.
You have
Congrats.
the best.
All my-
You have the best Instagram handle.
Well, thank
Florida
you.
man.
Florida man.
Florida man.
2 A's, right?
Yeah,
Florida.
you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and an
Florida man
underscore.
was already taken by.
Yeah.
That's how it goes, you know.
Everyone's heard the infamous stories. I think the show Atlanta's made it a little famous too. That everyone's heard about Florida Man.
Oh yeah. Just the generalized
Florida man with 6-foot alligator in his backyard eats wife. You
They're
know,
all him.
it's
They're
all
all
him.
him.
It's all him right here. Corrine's husband.
Yeah, he's got he is the one with the animals though. If he walks around our 8 acres, he has like all our dogs, the cat, the deer, they're all following him. The squirrels, they're all running.
Some barracuda were
like
following me
Noah.
this morning. I was snorkeling around with a couple of barracuda. It was wonderful.
Yeah, animals are drawn to him. I don't know what it is. It's maybe the beard. They feel.
Gravitas,
Jesus,
I
is
don't
that
know.
you?
Gravitas.
We went to like
Moses.
the Omaha
Moses.
Zoo, and the tigers were like enamored. They followed him all around the exhibit. Like all the
I'm
tigers
blushing,
were
you guys.
following him around. So I don't know. He's got something.
The animals know. They know. They can tell. Like when a dog doesn't like you,
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
Jet loves me
Like, that's a
already.
sick-
He's coming home with me tonight.
There you go.
Can't have Jet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Somebody suggested Jet being the booth next year. Just put Jet. Figure it out.
Dude, that's a great
Pulling
way
a
to get
sleigh
people
or
in.
Yeah, you gotta have.
You know,
I
about
did around
Alex?
vibes.
What
I
about
did
You
around
could help
vibes.
me buy a Frenchie, and I'll name him Fresh, and then we'll have Jet
Ooh.
Fresh. That's my
I
goal.
always,
Are you allowed to buy
I always
Frenchies still?
wanted-
I thought they're illegal now.
No. Why are they illegal? You're illegal.
Because they're like not like as an animal, they're like subpar. Like they don't breathe right. They have
Look, motherfucker.
like right,
Don't
no,
talk
that's
about
not
the
me.
dogs
Like in
that
certain
way.
countries, it's illegal to breed King Cavaliers in certain countries and French bulldogs.
Because their
I'm
noses
not
making
are
this up, it's
so
real.
small.
Right? They can't swim. They
They
can't
do
swim.
have. They can't swim. And they do have.
No, they
respiratory.
do have respiratory issues. Yes.
I love watching the
But
videos.
they're cute. They're cute as hell.
I love watching the videos of people having to jump in their pool because their dog was circling and fell in, and the Frenchie, and they got to jump in the pool after, and not the
They
poor dog
cannot
will die.
swim.
Poor Pecan. He grunts. He's
Yeah.
snoring the whole time. He can't just walking.
Can't even make it outside to the bathroom. Love that.
Corrine
dog.
and I had a Siberian Husky when we first got together. I think that's what kept her with me in those early
Yeah, we did. His name was
months.
Mako, like a shark. So
Yeah, Mako.
yes,
Yes.
Great name.
Our first
Great
kid.
name.
that was our first pet. Yeah, yeah, he does. He's good at naming the animals.
I always say like the dog name needs to be able to be yelled down the street. So whatever you're naming it out, it has to be able to be screamed out at a high volume. So you got to make sure it's not something crazy that you have
Fresh.
to scream down the street.
We have a dog that actually showed up on our property a few years ago, and the neighbor across the street said, "There's a strange black dog in your yard," and we're like, "Oh,
She
that's
was calling
our
the
dog."
pound.
It's Black Dog is his name, is what she said. So actually, he was a rescue from Puerto Rico.
One of my
He was
favorite songs.
Hurricane.
Yeah, Black Dog, absolutely.
And
Hurricane Maria rescue from Puerto Rico.
as it turns out, he was a rescue dog, and people were looking for him, and he decided to stay at our house. So we've had him almost 4 years now. But
It was in the papers and everything, right?
Yeah,
if I'm
he-
not mistaken.
In the
Yeah,
paper,
it
the
was
news
it
came
was a big
out.
thing
Oh,
about
my
this
God.
dog that they rescued
He had a viral
from
follow.
Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, and
yeah, they named
ended
him
up with
Poncho.
Florida Man.
They
Shockingly
named him
enough.
Poncho, but he escaped off the leash, and so they were looking for him for a few months. And he ran the coast of Florida, who'd be sighted, and people would try to catch him with like cast nets, and they were like, "We put out all kinds of black beans and rice. He didn't want to eat it." And
They put this out. Oh my God! And they named him Poncho. I said, "Oh my
That's
God,
Farrah
folks.
Fawcett, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Mike, your
That's
cat
the-
made it. Or no, you had an animal that like recently.
Aw.
Yeah.
Very
Roscoe
sorry.
passed away just like a few days after we got here.
Yeah.
How old
passed
was
away.
Roscoe? How many years did you guys
Oh.
get to?
Almost 18 years old.
Wow.
Andy from DPS, he used to work for Dill Pack or Dillowine. It's a floral packaging company, and he found that pup abandoned in like a fenced-in lot, and he jumped over the fence and he got the pup out, and he was desperate to find a home for him, and we wound up taking him home. And my wife, the dog was in bad shape. It was malnutritious, had mange. He was in bad shape, and my wife, man, she's just works magic with the animals and turned them around, and he had a great life. He was a great dog. Roscoe from Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Dukes
was
of
his name.
Hazzard.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
told
I think
him
it was more Roscoe Parish is what we were thinking at the time because we were
No,
right around that time at the UM.
Well, Mike told me he was traveling with his dogs and his cats like in his car for like
Yes.
36 hours, and I was like, I cannot stand cats mewing.
Yeah.
Like,
It did. It
I-
meowed the whole ride apparently.
oh God, that's like hell. That's torture, Mike. It's like
Two
he
two
finally
dogs.
made
They did a
it.
couple test runs.
They
They
built-
watched
they built
every
custom
YouTube
cages.
video. I mean,
Yeah.
they prepped hard for that travel.
I was
Yeah.
like, this is not anything I need in my life.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It got a little weird when we went to the CSI motel, and the cats were like freaked out because they'd never been in another place before.
What is the CSI motel? Please explain.
They had like the chalk out from a dead body that was in there, a couple bullet holes in the wall. I mean, it was the only place that would
Were you in
take
Kendall?
2 dogs and 2 cats. It was the only place in West Virginia that would take 2 dogs and 2 cats. So I mean, it had a shower, it had a bed.
Right? Is that what he said? Kendall?
Amber
I'm from
Heard.
the hood.
It's
I'm
a-
from Kendall.
Yeah.
No, it actually worked out pretty good though. It worked out pretty good, and they love it here. They love it here, except the cat pissed on the pillow the other day. Other than that,
Uh-oh.
they love it here. Yeah.
Was your head on the pillow? No.
Almost. I almost laid on the pillow, but not quite.
Oh,
I
okay.
did step in the hairball though.
Oh,
That was
gross.
pretty nasty.
Barefooted.
Welcome to my zoo. Yeah, barefooted.
Nasty.
Yeah, no.
Welcome to the zoo. But yeah, Roscoe was a great dog, and we have Lily. Lily's 13. She was also a rescue. That one, Lily was. That was a really crazy story. Henry Mello, who used to work next door to us at IFE, his daughter was volunteering at the Humane Society, and she was leaving for the day after volunteering at the Humane Society, and some car pulled up and threw the puppy out the window right in front of the Humane Society.
That's
Didn't even
terrible.
bring her inside. Yeah, and that day they were putting dogs down, so she didn't want to bring the dog in, so she took it.
Less paperwork.
And yeah, brought it to our office, and I fell in love with the puppy, and I took it. I had a dentist appointment that day, and I took her, and I took her to the dentist. She sat on my lap during the whole drilling. It was great, and she's been with us. She's about 13 now, Lily. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
Roscoe was a good dog.
Well, Corrine, we're about to. Looks like we're winding down. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
Before you go,
Wonderful.
what would you like to say to any new entrepreneurs, somebody like you, like-minded, who wants to fix a problem and help the industry? What would you want to say to them?
Goodness, I would probably say that, go back to Disney, believe in your dreams. Like, don't ever think that anything is like too small to go for. And that if you pursue it with passion, you will be successful. And it might just take a little while. It might take a little while for people to start believing in you, but that you need to go forward and like be true to yourself and know that you have a good idea and that everybody can benefit from it, and never take no for an answer. If they tell you no, it's only, just a matter of time before they're going to say yes, But also, I would say that I've said this before, is like, make sure you're talking to the right people. There's always gatekeepers, and I think that those people can sometimes get in the way of like the real decision makers. So, before you give up on your dream, make sure you're speaking to like the right people that are like the actual people that can make the decisions, and don't give up too easily.
Do you have any suggestions or tips on getting over hard times, like anything that worked for you that you think other people would benefit from?
Gosh, what kind of hard times? I guess it just depends.
I mean, it could be generalized. There's nothing anything specific. If you don't have an answer either, we can just cut
just
this question out. and
Erase
just end
this and move on.
Gosh, I'm not sure.
Put her on the
because,
spot, right?
you always have to be able to pivot. I feel like you have to be able to pivot and see something different, because it might not always like turn out exactly the way you envision in your head either. Like, you know, there was a lot of times I thought that things would work out a certain way. And when they didn't work out that way, I was kind of completely devastated for a little bit. But then you can either give up or you can keep trying, and you just need to look at it in a new way and reframe it. So I think it's much like the plumbing, you know, if something doesn't work out one way, how can you make that work out for the eventual? So, I mean, I guess we've gone through a lot of different changes in our life. You know, things, when we were living here years ago in Miami, it was a really crazy time. We just didn't really know which end was up, and we didn't know really where we belonged or how we were going to get to that. I always pursued having a very big life, but when you're here amongst all these people, it's really crazy. You start feeling really small. And I think that just getting a new putting yourself in a new place or just a new outlook will sometimes change your whole perspective. So I'd say, like, don't be afraid to shake it up and to change, like, where you see yourself. And those new outlooks sometimes create new opportunities and new doors that sometimes open. So in the least expected places. So, yeah.
I love your voice.
Oh, yeah.
She used to make cold calls, and she would sell all the time because of her voice.
She said that earlier. Yeah,
She showed. See, there you go.
Corrine
All right.
gives good
Yes.
phone.
Exactly right.
Well, we'll give
Yeah.
you this audio. You can loop it up. You can
I
play
know.
it back as much as you'd like.
I mean, I feel like Fern's voice is a lot like Greg's. He's like, hey.
Hey, baby.
Fern's got a different voice on the podcast than when you normally talk to him.
Don't tell
He's got-
anybody. I hope Barbie's not. So, Mike, any closing words from you?
Well, a few. Number one, we don't know each other that long, but I am very proud of you, and I'm very proud of the family you built together. I'm very proud of your business that you built. I can't. It's like a great TV series. You can't wait to see what happens next week, right? And I'm looking forward to see what the next weeks and years come with what you're building. And anybody who's listening, if you go to details.com and you put in code 2FATGUYS, you will get a special discount on a new subscription to Details. But no, I am very,
Was this
very
pre-planned, or did he just make that up?
No, he made that
No,
up, but I think that it sounds good. It sounds good. I'm all
She's
about
like,
it.
shit, I gotta add a
Yeah.
coupon code.
Detailsflowers.com. And
I was
Two
gonna ask
Fat
that as well.
Guys.
So say that again.
Heck, we're going to give you
Detailsflowers-
50% off if you're listening.
Say that
to
again.
the-
Detailsflowers.com.
detailsflowers.com, and you put in code 2FATGUYS, you're going to get a test subscription for 90 days and a complimentary of
You're,
2 Fat Guys.
you're putting too
Flowers.
much fine print. You need to generalize it. better.
Florida man's like, I'm never getting that.
They don't
yacht.
have anywhere to enter that code yet, and there's
We can
90
make
days
it.
is not.
I got it.
Is 90 days right?
She'll
No,
have
I
it.
mean, come on now. It's usually 7. But
Well, let's
come
put
on,
a
90 for Mike.
let's put a real coupon in there. Let's do it for real. What would be the actual coupon?
Well, we can make it that 2 Fat
Well,
Guys.
yeah.
Is it
No,
two
but like 90
or
days,
like-
a free
is it-
trial.
Is
what do
it
we
a
wanna
free
do?
month? I mean, let's be real here. What are
Let's-
we
let's-
giving?
let's
Let's
mix
do
it
a
up.
free month. A free month.
All right,
30
say it one
days.
more time. Details details flowers, details software.
Detailsflowers.com.
All right, and 1 month free with the code.
No, he wants 90 days. 90 days. He's looking at 90
He
days.
just wants a coupon.
I'm
Doesn't care.
I'm just spitballing here.
Thank you for
know?
the plug.
I'm
Amazing
trying to make it
plug.
I'll
fun.
give Mike whatever
Okay.
he wants. You know, anybody
what you're gonna do.
any friend
Here's
of Mike
the-
is a friend of mine.
If you go to detailsflowers.com and you put in code 2FATGUYS, you get a 30-day free trial subscription and an autographed picture of the Florida man with his animals. Okay? How's that?
Shit, I want the picture. put
Hey.
him up on the wall.
Your picture's not hanging. It's down right
We're
now.
gonna get one. We're gonna do.
You gotta show Florida man. He wants to see it.
I'm really grateful you guys coming today, and this is a great little birthday gift for me. And thank you very much for coming, and thank you for your friendship and your partnership. And like I said, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you, Mike. It's been a true pleasure. Every time I've hung out with you, I've just enjoyed it. So I was so happy to spend some time with you in Washington, D.C. and at the old post office together and just running around Congress. We were making waves and like
Yelling, "Let's go, Brandon!" It was fantastic.
yeah, come on now, and it was just awesome. So until the next time, are you coming again next year with me?
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna bring one of my guys, probably Fern.
I'm going.
Yeah?
I want to go.
I mean, that's awesome.
I want to go. I want to be there. I want to
need
join.
to.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
as I've gotten more involved, I want to get more involved. As I've learned and I'm growing and I want to share, and I love helping people. I love, I love helping people achieve their dreams and their goals. And, I've had a lot of people help me across my way. Mike has definitely been one of them. Mike took me, like as a raw piece of clay who knew some shit, and he taught me some shit. He taught me some shit, and now what I know some serious shit. So, it's been an amazing ride, and I want to continue to grow and help and share what I've learned. Not share everything, but share what I've learned, and and help people achieve their dreams too.
That's awesome. Well, it's been really fun, just the short ride that we've been on together. So I've enjoyed it, and
well, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I mean, you have a mission.
And the whole team too. You got a good crew. Yeah.
Good crew.
The ones that we met, they're fun. They're good. They're working hard.
They are. Our group is like kind of the
They believe in
sorority.
you.
Our woman-owned company is kind of like the feminine version of what you guys are doing over here. But
Florida Man's like chart. It's like Florida Man and the Details Angels.
Yeah,
I love
right?
it. I fucking love it. It's great. So I love what you're doing. I love the passion that you have, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know about Details Software, please go check it out. Corrine is on a mission. Florida Man is on a mission. They are gonna make flowers better. They're gonna help make your event more special. They're gonna help you help someone else's core memory be amazing. And make some, make a little money, and make sure you make a little money at the end. It's a beautiful thing.
Amen.
Preach. So please, ladies and gentlemen, check out Detail Software. Corrine Heck, Gregory Heck, aka Florida Man. Check him out. He doesn't mess around. I love this guy. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
So this has been another episode. Thank you for listening to Fat Guys, where we're always going to bring you the good, the bad, the ugly about flowers. Fern here with Ryan, Joel, our engineer, Florida Man, Corrine
Baba
Heck,
Booey.
Michael Black all the way. Look at him.
Look at that.
His Detail
I love
Software
it.
phone holder.
Mike,
Booey.
you're amazing.
All
Happy
the way-
birthday.
all the way in the cabin on his birthday.
That's right.
Loving it. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.